What is up, good people of YouTube? This is Sean with Future View Gaming, and today I'm going to be going over some of my favorite kits with the Assault class. So, let me go ahead and jump right in, because I got 6 kits to go over. I'm trying to keep it all within time. The first ones I'm going to go into are my close quarters kits, which everybody knows the AEK. It's kind of the try-hard weapon of choice for any close quarters kit. What makes this kit so strong? It has 900 rounds per minute. My setup is usually going to be a laser sight. Occasionally I'll use a foregrip if I'm in extreme close quarters, but if not, I won't. As you see, it has pretty good spread on the laser sight with the laser sight on it. Your hip fire, you can kind of keep it under control, you see. Now, the weakness with this gun, in my opinion, would be just look at the recoil. The recoil and the bullet deviation. Now, what you're gonna want to do if you're going for like a mid-range shot, let's see, like right here, you're gonna want to burst fire, and it's just a wild gun to use. And right now my mouse setting's kind of iffy, so let me turn that down a little bit. All right. Now, only real weakness I can say to this, besides the recoil, is the reload times can be kind of long. But, yeah. Anyways, let me go ahead and do this real quickly. Yeah. That is my go-to close quarters gun. That is the weapon that I will jump into anytime I'm just having a horrible game and I need that little extra boost. Next close quarters weapon I'm going to start talking about is the F2000. Another one of my favorite guns to use. I really enjoy this gun a lot, and I've gotten a substantial amount of kills with it. Now, what makes this gun special to me is, with the laser sight and the foregrip, look at the spread. You have this really nice hip fire accuracy. The reload could be a little bit shorter in my opinion, but yeah. And you see the strafing, the quickness in your strafing. That's another thing I like. Say I'm trying to come over here, I go around the corner. Oh, there's a guy over here. You strafe a lot quicker with the bullpup weapons, and your peeking is a little bit quicker too. So you gotta keep that in mind whenever you're peeking. At a longer distance, let's see, we'll say that window. You see the bullet deviation? That's the biggest weakness with this gun. Now it's firing in at 850 rounds per minute, which is 50 rounds less than the AEK, but it still holds its own. And why it does is, in my opinion, the hip fire. You can come around this, like you coming over here, you got a guy in front of you. You can strafe around, you get that nice hip fire spread, and generally, you got them killed. You can mag dump and hip fire with this and still have not such bad bullet deviation. Of course, if you burst fire with it, micro bursting, you're a lot tighter. Let's see, let me go ahead and go to my next setup I'm going to use. I'm going to go into my mid-range weapons now. So, suiciding again. Hopefully the server doesn't start picking up a bunch more people, because I'm just trying to get this done quick. It looks like someone else already jumped in and they're running around doing bases and stuff, but hopefully they'll leave me alone. Next one is going to be one of my new favorites. I love this gun. I've been doing really good with it. The AUG A3. Okay. Now, I usually run this with a suppressor. Occasionally I'll put a heavy barrel on it if I'm going for the mid to long range, but this is like my metro flanker setup, I guess you could say. Now the AUG is, again, it's a bull pump, so you have that nice strafing speed. So you get up into someone really close and you have to strafe. You got it, but it has a lot of bullet deviation while you're moving. Now the AUG is firing at 700 rounds per minute, which is not high at all. It's actually fairly low. But you see the recoil, easily controlled. Even mag dumping. You got a real nice tight spread. This is without me trying to control it. It's kind of even. It goes up and a little bit to the right, so it's not so bad. Now, you see where the mouse resets for me? Keep in mind I used a Frag FX. Nice, tight, real tight spread considering. you know. Now with the heavy barrel, it gets a little bit better with the ADS, but I like the suppressor. It gives you that nice little extra bit of surprise, I guess you could say. But overall, very balanced weapon. I really do enjoy this gun a lot. Anyways, I'm going to move on to my next mid-range, which is going to be the former most hated weapon ever. Like, everybody hated on this weapon so much for so long, then they nerfed it. I didn't use it before it was nerfed. I might have maybe 100 kills pre-nerf with this weapon. So, I didn't have much experience with it in this golden age, but I use it now, and it's kind of a love-hate with me and my M16. Again, another weapon I use as my metro flanking setup. And I like having a suppressor on it, though I will throw a heavy barrel on it with a lot of the maps, a lot of vanilla maps if I'm using it. As you see, they did give it a little bit more bullet deviation. That was mag dumping. However, it's still fairly accurate with burst fire. So it's still a fairly good weapon. It clocks in at, I believe, 800 rounds per minute. And the biggest strength to me, the reason I use it over the AUG at times, to me it's the reload. The reload is so much faster with this weapon than many of the other assault rifles. It's a fairly accurate gun if you know how to burst fire it right. If you control the recoil, you can really do some damage with it still, even though it's no longer the end-all be-all try-hard weapon that it used to be. So, yeah. I really don't have much more I can say on the M16. With the heavy barrel, you give a little bit more to your mid to long range game. A lot like the AUG. Even though I use it more for, I guess, your close to mid game. It doesn't have that great of a hip fire spread, even with a laser sight. And there's no real reason to throw the foregrip on this weapon. Just like with the AUG, it adds a little bit more bullet deviation, and you really don't want to do that with some of these weapons. You really want to keep that to a minimum, because you will get in those mid-long range engagements. And you want to be able to keep your spread as tightly as you can. So, yeah. Alright. Let's see. I'm going to die again. And this other guy in this server is probably just like, okay, we're not going to play. Next, I'm going to get into my long range kits. And the one I'm going to get into first, let me make sure I got it set up right, because this game seems to change my settings almost every time I get off of it. Yeah, I got it. This is my AN94. I'm not a big user of the AN94. I've just recently started using it consistently in some matches. But what makes this gun special is that right there, the burst fire. You see, it bursts 2 bullets at once, and they both hit the exact same spot. That's what makes this gun special. The reload's not that great. Full auto, it has a really, really sluggish 600 RPM, but the burst fire is really nice, and the recoil is not so bad either. At longer range, this weapon really just puts a hurting on people. You can drop people really quickly. I run this weapon kind of like a recon sniper. I usually put the 3-4 scope on, or maybe a red dot if I decide to use the red dot. But yeah, it's more of a, I guess, if you want to run the assault like it's a recon. And the burst fire mechanism with this gun is unique because of that follow-up action where you fire 2 bullets at once. Now on hip fire, it's not real great, as you see, and if you burst in rapid succession, it can really climb if you don't counter that recoil. But at a distance, I'd say this gun is probably one of the better weapons for picking off people at a range, that annoying sniper that you can't get to if you don't want to switch to recon. And it's a very solid weapon. As I said, the only real weakness I would say is in full auto mode. 600 rounds per minute is going to get you killed up close a lot. And burst firing up close, unless you get that nice quick headshot, you're not going to do too much. Now, let's go into another kit. And this will probably be the last kit I go over, since I'm trying to keep this video fairly short. And while I'm switching kits, I recently switched over laptops. I didn't get to keep my Acer Aspire, so I got this other Intel laptop that I'm using for now. It's still pretty decent, so we'll see how it does with this video. And this is also my first actual live commentary. I'm not sure if I mentioned that earlier. So we're going to go into my next kit now, which is the Scar L. I don't have many kills with the Scar L, but just recently I have kind of fallen in love with it. And just like the AN, which I didn't go into the attachments too much on that either, but the AN, don't throw the foregrip on because you're just going to screw yourself. Heavy barrel's a must, and just like with this weapon, the heavy barrel really takes down that bullet deviation, except for that last shot, which you have to burst fire at a distance with these. If you burst fire at a distance with this gun, it is very effective. Now, as RPM is not as bad as the AN, it's 20 RPM more, but it's only 620, so if you're in close quarters, you can kind of forget about winning that gunfight unless you really have the drop on someone and they're a horrible shot. But at the mid to long range, this gun really just tears people apart. It has a pretty moderate amount of bullet deviation, as you saw there. I'll do one without actually trying to pull back. There's your hip fire. You see, no real hip fire accuracy, but the recoil is not that bad. Bullet deviation can be handled with burst fire, as you can see there. And this gun is really good for dropping those longer range targets. If you can keep your recoil under control and you can burst fire right, you have a weapon that can dominate people at the longer ranges. Now, you'll want to stand still with this gun while firing, maybe even kneel, so you can keep that spread as tight as possible. Because if you're running around, you'll see the more you shoot, the more fucked up your spread gets. Now, a lot of people will sit here and criticize me for not saying, oh, well, the G3A3 is such a great gun, which it is a good gun. It has a higher damage mod. And the reason I don't use it much is the magazine size is so small with it, and I haven't gotten off the iron sights with it. Me and iron sights kind of have a love-hate relationship, a lot like me and the M16. But anyways, I'm not going to go into too much of that. I just figured I'd go ahead and put this video together for y'all to show y'all some of my favorite assault kits. If you like this video, please leave a rating, leave a comment. I'll be doing videos on some of the other kits that I like to use for the other classes, and those might be going up this weekend. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and as always, have a good day, YouTube. Take it easy.